Hi all, welcome to session 25 of Azure Data Factory. And till now we have explored couple of properties of get metadata activity. Today we are going to explore two more properties named as item name and item type. These are very simple properties. So let's get started with our hands-on. Okay. So I am in my Azure Data Factory. Let me open my Data Factory Studio. And in the meantime, let me see if I have a proper data structure with files to show you. So I'm going in source. In source, I have variable input and I have sales.csv. Okay. So let me add a directory, and here also let me put something. So I'm going to put, let's see. I think I will put this. Okay. I have taken a screenshot, so I'm going to put that. Okay. So here we have a file and we have a folder. Okay. Now let's get started. So we have made a lot of pipelines. Now in order to reuse an existing pipeline, you have to go to that pipeline, click on these three dots, and you will get a clone option. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the same pipeline that I have created for our column count hands-on, and I'm going to clone it. Okay, so it is going to give you the name same as the previous pipeline name, but it is going to add copy one. So let me just remove the copy one, and instead of giving column count, I will give real metadata item name and type. Fine. All right. So if you see, there is a dot here. Once you see the dot, that means there are some changes that are yet to be published. And if you want to see what pipeline, which pipeline has changed, so you can see the dot just on the left of the pipeline that has been modified. So right now you see it is in the pl get metadata item name type demo. Okay, now I am going to clone it, and I'm going to clone this activity as well. Okay, let me add. Okay, so using the existing activity and pipeline can reduce your development time. So if you are going to create similar pipelines, I would advise that you should be having the presence of mind to make sure that if you can reuse any pipeline and modify it quickly for your new use, that will be very very helpful. It will save a lot of your time in the development. Okay, now in the first get metadata, I'm going to say get sales csv metadata. Okay, and in the second one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say get folder 1 csv metadata, or it's a folder 1 metadata, it's not a csv. Fine. And since we are going to use variable, set sales variable, and in the second set variable activity, I'm going to name this activity as set folder variable. Okay, now in the variables, I'm going to rename the existing variables as sales type, sales name, folder 1 type, and folder 1 name. I'm keeping everything string for now. Okay, so we are using four variables, two for each set variable activity. Okay, I think I have to create one more set variable activity, but let's just go with the first one, and after that we will see that as well. Okay, now in this set variable, in the get metadata activity, you go to settings, and here you have to keep everything as it is, because we are using the same sales.csv, but use the capital S, because last time as we saw, your file name is case sensitive. And here I'm going to remove both and add new fields. So I'm going to say item name, and I'm going to say item type. Okay. And similarly, if I go to other get metadata activity, here I'm going to say variable one folder, so folder one. Okay, this is going to be the folder path if I'm not wrong. Yes, it is going to be the folder path, and here I'm just giving in space. Okay, I'm deleting, and I'm putting item name and item type. Structure, column, item name, item type. Okay, now in the set variable, what I am going to do, I'm going to use, as you can see, activity. This is giving an error because I have changed the name of the activity. So now there is no such activity with get column count of sales name, so you have to delete it. First delete it, and I'm going to use sales name. Right now if you see, you get activity outputs. So here you have all the things. I'm going to say get sales csv metadata item name. Okay, so it is going to set item name here, and let me do the same thing for the other set variable activity. So here also I'm going to go to settings, I'm going to delete it, and here I'm going to choose folder one name, item name. Okay, now I'm going to debug it. So just to quickly check what is actually happening when we run the pipeline, we are just debugging it. Let's see. Okay, so pipeline is successful. Let's see the output of get sales csv metadata. So if you see, you have item name as sales.csv. This is the property. Okay, item name sales.csv, and if you see the set variable for sales, you have sales.csv as the item name. Okay, and if you see get folder metadata, item name is space, item time is folder. Okay, now here is a problem. We have to check why it is giving an empty value. So let me just go and change the get folder one metadata. So instead of putting this here, let's put folder here, folder one. Let's validate. No problems. Let me do a debug. Okay, now let's see. So here item name is folder one, item type it is giving file. Okay, so there is a problem. It is, and it is basically taking folder one as the file. That is not correct. So get sales csv metadata, here we see we have item sales.csv, and here item type is not there. Okay, so let's see why the item type is not coming. Okay, because we have set both as item name only. So here I have to change it to item type. Let's do a debug one more time. Fine. So here we have sales.csv, item type is file. Okay. The problem with this particular thing is, since we are using an already existing data set where we have our data set predefined, so you have to give the file name here, and since the last part is always the file name, it is giving you the problem. Okay, so let's use a separate data set. Let me go back and use a new data set. So I'm going to use Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. I'm going to use delimited, or I would say binary. I'm going to use the link service same as that one. I'm going to say OK. Here I'm going to use item name and item type, and let me give the name. So here I'm going to say source folder 1. Table input. Okay, let's validate. Everything is looking good. Let's debug. Cool. So let's see folder 1 here. Now if you see, folder 1 and item type is folder. Okay, so most of the time what will happen is that you will mostly deal with the file type and the folder type. Okay, so this is a small demo where you can see how you can get the type of the item of your data lake and what is the name of that item. So right now if you see the set variable, since we are using the name, so both the variables will have folder 1 name as folder 1 and the sales as this. Now let's change it to other variable. So instead of having sales name, I'm going to use sales type, and I'm going to use item type. Okay, so here I change it to item type, and let me go to set variable. Here also I am going to change folder 1 type, and here I'm going to give item type. Okay, click OK, and now do a debug. Pipeline is successful. Now if you see the folder 1 type, it is showing you what kind of item it is. So it is a folder item, whereas the sales.csv is a file item. Okay, so far we have covered exist, we have covered child items, we have covered column count, we have covered item name and item type. So 5 activities we have covered, and these are the most frequently used activities in your get metadata. Okay, so make sure you practice these 5 activities as much as possible so that you are thorough with it, and once you are thorough with it, I think you will be very comfortable in using get metadata activity in your pipelines. Okay, so let's meet in the next session, and we will see the remaining properties of the get metadata activity. So thank you so much for joining me. If you like my content, please like, share and subscribe, and let's meet in the next session.